All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good afternoon. First, what I want to do is acknowledge every one of you for taking time for yourself and investing in yourself. Most people won't do that for themselves. Most people are waiting for it to show up. Wouldn't you agree? Just waiting for it to happen, right? So, for all of you that came out today, first of all, do you know exactly what you're going to get today? No idea, right? You got a couple of paragraphs and went, okay, I'll just show up, right? Recharge, absolutely. My name is Robb Braun. This is the thing I love doing more than anything else in my business. I have unfun things I have to do in my business. This is not one of them. This is the fun stuff I get to do. Recharge, refuel, right? Re-energize. How many of you could use a good re-energizing? Okay. Life's tough out there sometimes. How many of you were really good at making sure to give yourself a list of resolutions for yourself this year? Big list. A few hands up there. I see fewer and fewer out there. On my way down here today, I heard a couple of radio spots. One of them was a truck commercial, and I can't remember what the make is, but what I heard was, after all your resolutions go to crap, at least you'll feel good about yourself for having bought that new truck. Okay? Those extrinsic motivators, and we're going to talk about motivation a bit today, that we fuel ourselves up with so we can feel good about ourselves when all the internal ones fail us, right? How many of you have, by the way, set resolutions and not succeeded at them? We'll just say in the past, because this is going to be a different year, right? Right. By the way, has anyone ever used that phrase, this year's going to be different? All right, we're going to see if we can't make this year different, all right? The other commercial I heard, you actually used the word recharge. I went, wow, this is great. I was actually waiting to hear the Academies mentioned. But what happened was the woman finally says, I have to recharge my laptop, and I have to recharge my iPhone, I have to recharge this and all that. Now it's time to recharge me. So to recharge me, I go to McDonald's. I was so disheartened when I heard that, because most people are listening to that going, oh, okay, I wasn't sure where to go, but now I know where to go to get recharged, right? So if you're looking for a recharge, it's not out there. It's not a new truck. It's not new clothes. It's not McDonald's, right? It's not any of that stuff out there. There's got to be something in here. Now, I have for years and years, been the guy that, after I sobered up on New Year's Day, I stopped the bottle, by the way, but after I used to sober up on New Year's Day, I would go, okay, this year is going to be the year, and I would think of something that I was going to give up or start doing, and I would go to it with good intentions. Well, semi-good intentions, right? Semi-good. And then I would go about doing it, and the reality is my life year after year after year would be the same story. I'd have some things happen that year, but they would happen only by accident, because I didn't really have a plan, not really. And by the way, I don't want anyone getting caught up on the whole sober thing. That was a joke. Okay? I didn't have a plan. I had an idea of things that I thought were going to bring me real joy and re-energize me and recharge me, but they were what most people had on their list too, really. Not the ones that I knew were exactly right for me. It wasn't until I learned how to be able to go and do that. And first of all, how many of you love pie of some kind? Anybody like pie? All right, good. I'm going to give you some pie today. P-I-E, right? Now, you don't have to take notes. I'm the non-academic speaker, by the way. I don't bring handouts. I don't encourage you to take notes. I won't have a PowerPoint, right? I'm just going to talk with you, right? The cool thing is this is videotaped, so later on when you go to watch it, you hear some things today that resonate for you, go back and watch it and listen to it again. And if you will, before we get into the pie, before we get into anything else, I want for each of you to make a decision to take something from the day that you're going to do something with, all right? Now, I notice some of you are dressed real casually today, so if you need me to imagine me without the tie, do that so you can hear me. Some of you may need to have me take the coat off, right? Stop there, but just have me dress down a little bit, right? So that you can hear me and take in what you need to be able to hear today, right? So forget Robb Braun. Just listen to the message and take something for yourself that's going to make an impact on your life, all right? Now, as I understand, your kids are in good hands. Does that sound right? Your kids are in great hands, right? And by the way, not with the school. The school said, you guys are the greatest. Said, you're the greatest. You're the greatest parents that schools could ever have to work with. So your kids are good. So I'm going to focus on you today. How many of you feel taken care of by the world out there? All right. So you need a little taken care of, right? So take something for yourself today that you get to walk away with. And by the way, if you want to share it with your kids, by all means do. I have 2 boys. My youngest is 14. He drips with this stuff, right? Because he hears it all the time from me. But the beauty is he can banter back and forth with me. He's on board. He likes this stuff. So make a decision for yourself. Make a decision. Don't let it happen accidentally. Make a decision that you're going to find at least one thing today that you hear that resonates, that you know that if you just did something about it, it would make a difference for yourself. Commit to do that. And what I've learned about committing and making a decision is that it doesn't happen by accident. It takes work. Doesn't it take work to do something, to better our lives or make something better or go for something? It's all work. It won't happen by accident. And so I'm going to share some things with you today that I think will help you to get with what you're going after, to recharge you, refuel you, get you excited again. And by the way, if you see me holding the mic and my little pinky comes out, it's because I can't bend it. So don't be creating stories about that, all right? I'm just getting used to it. I was teaching the other day, and I'm drinking a coffee cup, and the finger's out all the time, and they're whispering back and forth. And it's like, what's up with the pinky, right? So it just doesn't work right now, right? It's not working. And don't be staring at it the whole time either. All right, so pie. So in order for us to succeed, some things that have to happen. And I talk about success all the time. And when I talk about success, I'm not talking about the generic success that everyone knows you succeeded based on the car you drove in or the home you bought or how much money you make. None of that stuff. It's the stuff that for you, you decide that this is what makes me me. This is what feels good about me being on the planet this time. And by the way, serious question, how many times are you going to be on the planet this time? Once. Thank you. Once. So what are you going to do with this one time? And I forget that often. I forget there is no other opportunity. This is it. Today's the only day. This moment we have right now is the only moment we will ever have like this. So seize this one. Make it mean something. So in order for us to succeed, to get what we're going after, we've got some things that have to happen. And one of the things in the very beginning and that I have found is that I've just got to get prepared. That's the P in your pie, by the way. Prepared. And prepared doesn't mean you have to, it actually means a lot of things. It doesn't only mean getting things all ready to go, right? How many of you are great organizers? You just put things in order and you make things happen, you get things going. Being organized is a good thing. Not being organized is not a bad thing, it just hampers the forward movement sometimes. But being prepared is so much more than just being organized or having a plan. Part of what's necessary for us to be able to move forward, and I mean move forward with anything. How many of you sometimes get run down by your physical health? Your physicalness just runs you down. Anyone relate to that one? As we get older, you're going to feel it more and more and more, right? It takes more energy to stay alive, right? So we feel run down. It does, right? How many of you feel where you lose energy sometimes in your business, your career, your livelihood out there? How many of you feel lack of energy sometimes there? Like it's kind of beating you down a little bit, all right? Being a parent. How many feel beat down by being a parent sometimes? Okay. So there's all kinds of areas we can apply this to. It's not just what everyone might define as success out there. It's whatever it is that you know that you need re-energizing in, that's wearing you out. As a parent of 2 sons, there have been times when it's been a bummer. It's hurt. It's been painful. And yet, as parents, we can't just say, I'm done, right? We got to hang in there. And sometimes we got to draw from energy we don't have. Sometimes that's why you have each other, right? And when you've got a great school that you can, and teachers and administrations you can talk to and get support and all that. So we got to find out where it is we can get re-energized in all those areas. And one of the things we have got to discover at times for ourselves is what it is inside of us that's been working against us. And I call this part of the preparation. Because for all of us carries with us stories, excuses, reasons why, which is why when we set those resolutions each year to have this year be different than the last one, somewhere along the way we get off track and we can't even figure out why. Now, the older we get far more sophisticated stories. We get really good at it. How many of you have ever used the economic condition as an excuse for anything? Just 3 of you? I doubt it. You can stand in any Starbucks line and you can hear someone talking about how bad things are, housing market, job market, whatever the story is, and about how that's their story for fill in the blank. Why my business isn't doing well, why my spouse is upset at me or finally left, why this, why that. That's just one of them. That's a good one. And as we get older, we're better at it. And by the way, the mass excuses work really well because they work in just about every group we're in. And when we have stories and excuses that others are using as well, we get away with it and people accept that. And we let ourselves get away with it. And we believe that that's exactly why we didn't move forward. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care, and I'm not here to insult, but I don't care what story, excuse, limiting belief you carry with you. The only thing that keeps you from getting whatever you're going after is you. That's it. It's me. So this isn't me just saying it's you, it's me. The only thing that keeps me from anything I'm going after, whatever it is. I'm trying to get myself back into good health, it's on me. If I'm trying to grow my business, it's on me. If I want a great relationship with my wife, it's on me. Now, do I love using the story or like the idea of using the story that it might be her? Sure, I would like to use that one. And by the way, would I have listeners that would go, oh yeah. The truth is, it's on me. Same thing with raising my sons. My relationship with them is on me. Every story and excuse that I come up with is just that. And I don't care what it is. Now, I remember last year having one of these tough physical years, and I didn't have bad things happen, but I had silly little things happen that were nagging that I allowed to work me over. Like on New Year's Eve, I woke up and just couldn't stand on my heel. Anybody ever have something like that happen? I looked it up and couldn't figure out what the heck it was. And I'm not one of those hypochondriacs that just looks everything up. I couldn't stand on my heel. It hurt. And for 3 months, I'm feeling this. So for 3 months, my running program is gone. And by the way, it wasn't affecting my arms, but do you think I was working my arms out during those 3 months? No, because my story was my heel hurts, right? My heel hurts, so I can't go to the gym and get the full workout in. Forget about that 30-minute where I could actually work my upper body and do some ab work because my heel wasn't impacted there. But my heel got to be the whole body story about how I just can't stay on my physical program, right? Does this sound familiar to anybody? Right. And we get away with it because when I tell someone I can't get out there and do what I need to do, that's why I'm gaining a couple pounds, I'm going, oh yeah, I understand the heel story. I've got mine. This elbow, right? This tennis elbow I've got. Can't do a damn thing because it hurts, right? And we use these as stories. And what I want you to think about for yourself is where you might use stories in parts of your life. Stories of, I'm too tired, or I don't have enough energy, or I don't have cooperation from the rest of the family, right? Or fill in the blank, whatever it is, whatever it is. Now, what I know is I spent a good part of my young adulthood using stories, and that's exactly what I got in life, was the byproduct of that. And it was the reactionary byproduct. It was whatever happened to happen, rather than me being proactive. So that preparation, first of all, is taking a look at what it is that I'm doing that I'm working against myself. How am I working against myself? And then and it's about getting honest. It's about getting honest. It's about honest with that person in the mirror. And sometimes, in order to be able to get honest with a person in the mirror, I need to have someone else I can kind of bounce it off of too, right? Someone who knows me, who cares about me. Don't talk to a stranger at the post office and start telling them, because they don't care, right, first of all, and you're not going to get good feedback. Has anyone had anyone just start talking about stuff that you really don't want to know about or shouldn't know about? Yeah, don't be that person, okay? So sometimes in order for me to be able to get honest with myself, I do need to have others around me who care about me, who want to see me elevate, right? It's a term I use for myself all the time to elevate my game, right? And sometimes it really helps me to get some honest feedback by that way. Spouse is not always the best number one person because she sees me in a certain light that I may not get. She may not see some of my little flaws. She also may be afraid to tell me the truth sometimes. My wife is not afraid, by the way. She's just not. She's Puerto Rican Italian. She's unafraid to say anything, right? So fortunately, I do get really good feedback right there, but that may not always be the best person. I'm not saying that's not a caring person, but sometimes what I need is I need a person who, what I call, doesn't have a dog in the fight, one way or another. So it could be a good friend, it could be a business partner where we've gotten to know each other real well, where I'm going to get some real honest reflection back, and I need that if I really do want what I want. So that's a huge part of the preparation is get honest with myself. Why is it, or what excuses, what stories, what limiting beliefs, and it could even be childhood beliefs. I carried all kinds of beliefs into my adulthood around money. That was a big one. Anyone have like unhealthy, well, I want to ask this question. Has anyone ever had what they believe is like a limiting belief around money? Okay, 2 of us. Head nod, 3 of us. Okay, got it. And I got that, from childhood. I got that from my parents. My dad was a mechanic. My mom was a waitress. And I remember every winter, we lived in snow country. So if anyone knows, in snow country, you don't bother getting your brakes checked because it doesn't matter anyway, right? My dad was a brake guy. So during the winter, right? So during the winter, we didn't have a lot of money coming in. I remember preparing for the snow season, we would go to this big place. It was like what you have as a Costco right now. We would buy 100-pound bags of potatoes, onions, and pinto beans. They go with all 3 meals, right? So that was my mindset, my belief going into adulthood around money. And what was further supported was my dad giving me messages like when I would ask him for money for new PE clothes or something like that. His favorite thing was, who do you think I am, Rockefeller? Right? Now, I didn't know who Rockefeller was. I just knew Rockefeller wasn't in the house, right? So we learned very quickly that Rockefellers could get gym clothes and new tennis shoes. We could not, right? So carrying those stories on into adulthood. And it would be easy to think, if that's what I grew up with, and that was, for me, that was the truth, that it meant there would be limiting money as I got to be an adult. Until somewhere along the way, someone may have stood up just like I am right now, or I saw or read a book or something out there that said, maybe there's a different truth out there. Maybe I'm caught up in a limiting belief or an excuse or some kind of story that keeps me from going out and getting what I want out there. All right? So preparation. The preparation is looking to see where it is that I am my own obstacle to my forward movement, whatever it is, whether it's in my diet, the money I'm able to bring in, my relationships, my connection to source, my community involvement, whatever it is. Wherever it is, I'm using story and limiting belief. I remember whenever it came time for someone asking if I would volunteer time or money, I go, I don't have time. I need to go out and make money. So my story was there wasn't enough time or money for me to go out and give. Now, what do we all know about when you give? You give, what happens? You get, right? I didn't get that one early on in life, so I had to figure that one out. Whatever stories you're using in any part of your life, now's the time to start considering that. And by the way, these stories suck up energy. This is about recharging and re-energizing. When we finally get to the truth, and the truth is we're full on in charge of everything that we want to be able to go on after, there's something invigorating about that. So I've got to prepare. Now, the other stuff that follows that, the making sure to create time, making sure that I get support in my life to be able to make things happen. If one of the things I need to be able to do maybe is eat better. So my wife and I need to talk with her, say, let's change our grocery list, right? And I'm reading a whole lot about kale. Anyone reading about this? Like, get kale in your diet. Okay. And how do you make kale taste good? You throw a banana in whatever you're mixing up, and it makes it okay. Actually, my wife made a dish the other night with kale and collard greens, and there was other green stuff in there, and it was good. It was actually very good. So in order for me to be able to eat better and make sure I'm getting good stuff in me, I want to talk to all those people in my life, and that means talking with my son, with my wife, and even talk with some friends out there, some guys that are like going green, right? I'm going, what are your recipes, right? So those are the other things I do to prepare. make sure that you got to have the food in the house in order to be able to put it in here. And that means if you're wanting to eat green, that means go to your cupboards and getting rid of all that other stuff in there that doesn't support that, right? That's all the preparation. So in order for us to be able to succeed at anything, we have got to prepare ourselves. Find out what's kept us moving forward, and now start putting those things in place. A plan, setting aside time, getting the people involved that need to happen. Now, is this all important stuff to be able to succeed at whatever we're going after? Those New Year's resolutions or those new decisions like this is going to be a better year, does all that sound pretty important? Are we with me on that one? We're going to get success now. What's that? Wow, I love that. We need I and E, right? Otherwise, we just have P, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to P or out, right? Because we don't have the I. And the I is one of the most important, crucial pieces on here. My son and I had this really cool idea as he moved his way into high school. And he's in second semester right now, so he was a freshman this year. We had this great idea that I would create some incentives for him, some grade incentives. He finished up middle school pretty good, A's and B's, and I thought, how about we have some A incentives and we have like an all A, like big prize incentive. I mean, it was big. And for him, he's like wide eyes, like going, it's done, man. Right? I'm getting all A's, no doubt about it. So end of semester, after we dusted away the one F, oh yeah, big prize. I mean, a big reward. Dusted away the one F, right? And then we looked at the C, 2 B's, and 1A. And he got his prize for the 1A, and then, of course, I took it right back for the 1F. And we're both kind of going, what happened? What happened? And me, of all people, I should know this one. We set up an extrinsic motivator, something outside of him that he could look at that was like in this little glass case over here. And by the way, it had 20s in it to start with, right? And there might have been a C note or 2 in there. I mean, I thought, wow, what kid wouldn't want this? And he's thinking of all the things that he can do with this money. When it came down to it, it was this thing out here that he couldn't all the way relate to, and it didn't have any meaning for him. And doesn't that sound about right? I could promise him a new truck. Sounds great, he's got it all picked out, but it has no real meaning. Like most stuff outside of us does not. By the way, how many of you have bought a new car in the last couple of years? Okay, quite a few of you. Was it real exciting in the beginning? Forget about the car payment, right? Just, was it exciting in the beginning to have this new vehicle? Maybe, maybe not, right? Okay, exciting. And how long does that excitement last? A month, till the first car payment. Nice, good. It's got its limitations. It doesn't last very long. If I gave you $100 right now, would that be nice? Right, and how long, would that feel good? And how long would that feeling last? Till tomorrow, right? Really, once it's gone, it's been spent, or it just loses its luster, it's gone. And that was the same thing with this incentive. And so what I had to figure out, what he and I had to figure out together, and this is with everything that I do in my business and my life, is I got to know why I'm doing it. I have to know why. The I, the inspiration. I've got to know what inspires me. I have to know. And I don't care how much money, how much stuff. I could say, I don't know if any of you kids are into scooters. You know, we had this like real cool scooter prize, all that. That's all outside stuff. That doesn't do anything in here. That doesn't do anything in here for the feeling that he gets when he came home on Friday and says, hey, my algebra teacher said, if I keep up the effort that I'm doing right now, my chance of getting an A is pretty great. And that's what he wrote all weekend long. That feeling that he got when someone paid attention and recognized his effort and his energy. That feel-good feel that became his and no one could mess with it. And he brought it up a dozen times on the weekend. He realized he told me already, it's like he had to find someone else to tell, right? Let me tell you what I heard this week, right? And I can't all the way give that to him. And thank goodness there are teachers out there. You kids have these kind of teachers, and I know you're the teacher oftentimes, right? That they get this from. So We have to find out what inspires us. Now, how many of you have ever, right, wanted to have maybe losing a couple of pounds or just getting in better health, like, and maybe you need to gain a pound. Like there's people out there that I'm not heavy enough, right? Whatever it is, I just don't quite look right in this dress or this suit, this outfit, whatever that is. How many of you get really, really excited when you think about treadmill? Really, really excited about elliptic? Okay, you like that one. That's cool. All right, you have a relationship with your elliptic. I get that. It's cool. Really, really excited about the idea of losing 5, 10, 15 pounds. The idea of actually losing it. Really excited about it. Is it the 5 pounds you're excited about? Or is it what losing 5 pounds is going to get you? Because at 5 pounds is not exciting to me. I remember last year, after using the heel as an excuse, right? I realized at age 50, the metabolism doesn't work quite as much, and I had to actually lose a couple pounds. That did not excite me at all. And in fact, when I went to go see my trainer, and by the way, I actually hired a trainer, right? Zero discipline when it comes to, making sure I get out there. I put it in my calendar, but if I'm running my calendar, that means I get to move my calendar around, and I can find things more important. So I hired a trainer. And one of the things I asked him, let's not do the scale thing. That doesn't do anything for me. What does something for me is how I feel when I go in here and I can actually last 45 minutes after you've been driving me. In fact, I have to tell you, when he first said, we're going to work out for 45 minutes, my initial thought was, what? That's a workout? I mean, I go to the gym and can do 60 minutes, hour 15 after I go and run. Only 45 minutes until I showed up the first time. Man. I was looking at the clock at 15 minutes going, there's no way I'm going to make 30. No way, no way. So for me then, the inspiration was not about the weight. It was about how I was going to feel about me in sticking with it. How I was going to feel about me being able to feel healthy again, have my bounce back, and not worry about that heel thing, right? Whatever that is. That was the inspiration. I needed that to make sure I show up. And by the way, I had to pay him for this, but that wasn't enough to keep me showing up. Anyone ever just kind of thrown money away, bought something and didn't use it? You've got exercise equipment you're using to hang clothes on. I know someone out there is. Right? Or you've bought gym memberships and not shown up for it. So that's not a motivator either. That's one of those outside motivators, extrinsic. We need something in here to inspire us, to keep us going when it gets tough. And it's that how we're going to feel about something. It's the why we're doing what we're doing. That's exactly what we need for no matter what we're going after. Now, a little piece about for me and my business and what I do, I don't have regular hours until, I have to show up somewhere, and then it's like, oh, I have regular hours here. But otherwise, it's my hours. One of the things I learned to do, and I started this about 5 years ago, and that is, first of all, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Any 4 o'clock in the morning people? Wow, that's impressive. It's not impressive coming from me because I'm not a morning person at all, right? I guess maybe that is impressive. All right, I'm not a morning person. Aren't you impressed? Right? I get up at 4 o'clock, and here's the decision I made, real decision. I made the decision that if I was going to succeed in my business, that I needed to get an earlier start, a start more over on anybody else. And I figured no one else is getting up before, so I'll have a head start. And the reality is I'm not really competing with others. I'm doing it for me. But what I did was, first of all, I had to have a reason for why I'm doing this. And all I have to do, honestly, when I get up in the morning, I am not excited at all. I keep my alarm in another part of my house, so I must get out of bed to go turn that alarm off. I can snooze with the best of them, right? And every once in a while, I actually don't hear my alarm, and my lovely wife gives me that little foot in the back that says it's time, right? It's time for you to go shut that damn alarm off, right? But when I make my walk to turn the alarm off, what I do is I remind myself why I'm getting up at 4 o'clock and why I'm going to go be at my office by 4:30. And I just do the hat thing. I don't do the whole get my hair coiffed thing, right? So office at 4:30. And all I have to do is I look back at my wife, look back at my son, and I remember why. I remember why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I go and show up at 4:30 in my office. And by the way, I don't show up there and start doing Sudoku puzzles, right? or surfing the internet, I get to work. And I have those 2 hours that I work, and then I wrap it up. I head on home, wake the rest of the family up, we have breakfast together, and we start our day. It's knowing why I'm doing, what inspires me. It's what I call, and out there in the business world, and when we're doing things for others, I believe that we have to have what's called an intimate purpose and a global purpose. I think for me to be serving only me doesn't serve. That I have to look for ways that my intimate purpose is when I look at my wife and my son and what I provide for them and the safety I provide for them and the lifestyle, all of that. And then my global purpose is I show up here in this room right here, hoping that there is at least one life that will be impacted, that will get a message that they hadn't quite heard before, the way I'm going to deliver it, that will make a difference on their life, maybe the lives of their children, maybe the rest of their life, right? Shift like a half a degree, whatever that is. So that's what drives me. And there's mornings are tough. There are mornings when I haven't had much sleep. There are mornings when we have this new neighbor who likes to throw parties. So I lost some sleep there a couple times. But there was still getting up and doing what I had to do. It's that inspiration, what drives us. So when you're setting your goals or your resolutions for your health, for your weight, eating better food, going on a diet, working more hours, volunteer work, whatever it is, whatever you're going after, spending time with your children doing homework or giving lessons, to know why you're doing it. And in that moment, yeah, sometimes. Are there times when you would rather not? Yeah, there are times. Are there times when you'd actually, how many of you, by the way, don't feel like you get enough time for you? All right, good, right audience. I'm not ready to go that direction yet. Is that thing up there like an actual time thing that says 1:11? Beautiful. Yeah, it's a clock. I just knew it was numbers right there. I wasn't sure what it meant. I wasn't sure if it was like the weight of the room or something, 111 pounds. All right, so I just want to make sure I'm on track right here. So we have to know what inspires us. We must know what that is. Because if we don't know what truly drives us, when it gets tough, we'll bail on ourselves, and we do it. We will stop putting the extra effort. We'll find other things that are more important. And it does relate somewhat to that, actually it relates a lot to how oftentimes we don't give ourselves enough time for ourselves. Sometimes what we forget is that when I give myself time and energy for me, my wife and my son get more of me. They get the best of me. When I give myself more time and energy for me, you all get more of me and you get the best of me instead of what's left over of me. And some of you I know are operating on the what's left over, and you're still going, you're still cranking, you're still making things happen. You're still showing up for everybody. And yet what's happening is you're depleting yourself. And I'm not suggesting that you forget others. I'm not saying that for a moment. But for others, start giving to yourself. And maybe there's some things that you're neglecting to do for yourself. And maybe it's time for you to get re-inspired to start giving more for yourself. And knowing that others are going to benefit greatly from that. So we need to prepare. We need to find out what it is about ourselves that has kept us from moving forward and getting where we're going. We need to find out then and identify what we're going to do to help us succeed. Make sure we reserve time, get the people involved, have a plan in place, and do all the things that are necessary to be able to be organized and move forward. And then we've got to know why we're doing it. The real why. The real why. It's not the goal itself. It's the why the goal. What is it that's going to keep you going when it gets really, really tough? What's going to keep you going? And by the way, what I used to use the remembering pain and the aversion to pain as a motivator. That'll only go so far too. I used to remember I'd be on a run and I would be feeling pain and tired, going, this ain't pain and tired. I remember feeling more pain and tired, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't. It might work for a small window of time. It might work for a quarter. It might be so much. for a short window. But what I've got to know is the bigger picture, why I'm doing what I'm doing out there, right? And now the E. So we are not just pi, P-I, and that's that little thing over the 2 bars for you math people, 3.1412 something else, right? So now the E, and now it's the execution. So we can most definitely have a great plan in place. We've identified our obstacles. We identified why we haven't succeeded before and start eliminating those stories, talking with others. Make a decision to not let me be my greatest obstacle to getting what I want for myself. And when I say for myself, I am saying for myself and those who care about me and the world, because the world needs me to be whole and complete so I can provide what it needs for me out there, needs of me out there. And then I need to execute. I need to do something. I remember asking a good friend of mine, trainer of years ago, and he's a man that had his own business, runs as a personal trainer out of his home. He built his garage into this great gym and is booked from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Booked. Takes Sunday off. And by the way, he's a get up at 3 a.m. guy so he can get his workout in before his first client at 5 o'clock. Crazy, right? And I asked him one time, Sam, what is your secret to succeeding in your business? He said, do something. He says, take action. Just do something. Sounded pretty simple. How many times I had good ideas and didn't take definitive action or didn't take enough action on it, where I might have started but I didn't follow through on it. Anybody ever start something and not follow through? Yeah, because then it starts getting tough and the stories start sneaking in. Take action. Execute, right? If I have a plan in place and I've got people supporting me and I know why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing, now it's just a matter of taking action. And sometimes the actions don't have to be crazy actions. Sometimes it's a simple phone call. Someone asks, so how did you end up here? How did we find out about you? I says, I just happened to enroll myself on a site that makes myself available for people who are looking for speakers or coaches or professional services, right? And that's how we came together. Had I not taken the action and just gotten myself on there, and I had no idea if this thing was going to work. I don't know. But I just put myself out there, just put that profile out there, and that's what made this happen. And it came together, right? So doing something very, very simple, it can be the simplest action, but to do something, hit send. And by the way, hit send in a good way. Right? And I remember hitting that thing, but I remember also the exhilaration of it's out there. And by the way, most responses that came back, and I was honestly a little fearful when the responses came back, because I was afraid I was going to hear back from people, who do you think you are? Right? Thinking that you can put on a workshop and tell people how to succeed in life. Who the heck do you think you are? I remember you when you weren't so successful, right? And I remember being afraid of that, but most of the responses were, whoa, way to go. That took some guts. How about you? Now, every once in a while, there's a knucklehead, right? There is that. And the more I do what I do, the knuckleheads are anonymous. It's people I don't encounter in rooms like this, but it'll be someone who's just looking to kind of mess with someone's day. And I used to take those personal until I just stopped taking them personal, right? And then I have a great friend of mine who talked about this little exercise he has about printing those out. Once they're printed, he's extracting them from the world and just shooting them in the wastebasket and having all kinds of fun with it. So the reality is not everyone's going to be all on board with what you're taking action out there, but it's important that once you find what it is that you want to do for yourself, that you simply do something about it. You take action on it. For those of you that set New Year's resolutions, this is going to be a better year, or this is what I'm committed to doing this year. Hopefully what you're able to do is, first of all, hopefully you've got some momentum going on. Now, you might have even been stalled already. I know it's only the 13th. They say 50% of all resolutions, if they actually do studies out there, are done by the end of January. 80% are done by the end of March, right? So if you're still going, you're okay. But now it's maybe time to simply take a step back. Don't step on that X, by the way. If any of you ever get up here, there's actually literally a blue X up here. But now for theater people, what does that X usually mean? That's your mark. That's your stand. Apparently this X right here is because there's a hole down there. I'm serious. Someone landed there wrong, so they put the X right there to avoid that. Where was I? Yeah, avoiding the X. Some of you may have already set resolutions. It's not too late to pause, take a step back, not too far back, and evaluate, am I setting myself to be able to succeed at this thing that is so darn important to me? For some of you, you're making another run at something you've been attempting to do for years, and you haven't quite gotten the momentum yet. Or you've gotten so far, but you stalled along the way, and you've got limited success, but not where you really could get to. Not really. This may be a grand time for you to simply hit pause, take a step back, and go, am I all the way set to full-on succeed this year and make this truly the year? How many years have you got left? I mean, we hope many. I might actually be the oldest cat in the room, so hopefully you all have a lot of years, right? And we don't know that this might be it. We just don't know. So now is the time, if you haven't truly set yourself up knowing that you have done everything you possibly can in whatever your endeavor is. And gang, I'm talking about if it's helping your kids to be able to get their A's and B's. Have you done everything you can do to succeed at helping them to succeed? Maybe it's your role in your family. Maybe it is for you personally, your physical health, your emotional, mental, spiritual health. Are you all set up to truly succeed? And there's no doubt about it because you removed every obstacle, or there's still some obstacles. And I have just not ever encountered a human being that didn't have this right here as their greatest obstacle to their forward movement. And the smarter we get and the older we get, the more sophisticated this gets. And it actually makes sense. And I know me, left on my own, I'm in trouble. I just am. Because I can convince myself that I gave it my all. I know I can. I can convince myself that there were forces working against me that were just insurmountable. No one could have countered this. And the truth is, that's all crap. It's all up here, right? It is all up here. And I'm not saying all I also have to do is just sit there and ohm myself, right, to whatever it is I'm going after. So I'm not suggesting for a moment that if I believe it, it'll happen. I've got to do the work. And the work is you showing up this morning. For those of you that were, I saw some of you taking some notes right there. Hopefully for you, you take this back and don't put it on that dusty shelf where you have this collection of other good notes from other presentations, right? Or other books. Laughter's a truth response, by the way, right? I've done that. I've got a collection of books, and damn, those were good. I got highlighted, turned pages down, and up on the shelf they went. It's a nice collection. It's impressive, too, because I ordered it by height and thickness. I mean, it looks really good. So if someone were to snap a shot, it would look really good, right? So if you're taking some notes or you got some things today, make a commitment to yourself to do something with that today. Not when it's convenient, not later this week. Monday's a great day, by the way. Monday's a great day to do stuff. It really is. How many of you love Mondays? I mean, love Mondays. All right, there's a couple of us. I love Mondays. I feel like I've been one of those race dogs or horses, right? Shackled up and just waiting for the bell to sound and the gates to open. That's what I feel like every Monday morning for my business and this part of my world. Now, trust me, I love my personal world and I love time off and rejuvenation. But when we're kind of wrapping up our weekend and it's Sunday evening and I'm gearing myself up, I really get very, very excited about that 4 a.m. alarm. No, I get excited about 4:05, right? 4 o'clock, I'm not excited. And I don't care how much I try to. It hurts every time when that alarm goes off at 4. But when I make my walk, though, and I remember it's Monday, and here we get to go again, and now I can start making phone calls and emails and get responses back and go do what I love doing. So going back to the point with, for each of you, whatever you heard today, one simple little thing. Maybe some of you heard a lot of things like, man, I like that. That was good. That's cool. Do something with it. My invitation from the very beginning was to identify just one thing you heard today that resonated, that made a difference as you heard it. It's like, I like that. Or, ooh, I forgot about that. I needed to be reminded about that. Or I never quite heard it that way before. Commit to yourself right now to identify that one thing and commit to doing something about it today. Let that be today. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. Maybe it's just going and sharing pie with someone else, with a friend or maybe one of your children. Say, hey, I heard something today I really liked. I want to share this with you. That's an action right there. The moment I share something that I've learned with someone else, it starts to become mine. And I already start to, I get to share, and I've shared a few times. It's kind of like telling a joke. How many of you are terrible joke tellers? That's me. I'm a terrible joke teller because I forget it. Because I don't go around and tell it right away, especially if it's a really good one, right? And my son's great. He rattles them off. Boom, 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 boom. I can't. And it's not that I can't. It's that I don't do something with it right away because it just goes away. So the same thing with what you heard today, that might be the thing that makes the difference. And I'm telling you, I'm hoping actually for all of you that each of you heard one thing that can actually make a difference that you don't even know what the difference that it can make will make. Is that proper English? I guarantee there was something you heard today that if you do something, it'll change your life. Now, it may not turn all your green light bulbs red today, okay? That was Christmas. But what it may do is be the spark for something else. And we never know that when I do something a little different today, or I see things, or see people, or see myself a little differently today, that it bleeds into tomorrow and the next day and the next day, as long as I'm taking some action toward it. Gang, our life is so short, and we never know what opportunities we may have before us. My belief for all of us, for me too, as I hear myself remind myself, I even thought of a couple things that maybe I haven't been following through on that I need to take another look at. Human being that I am. And how easily susceptible I am for when things get tough to look for an easier way sometimes. And then I can bring in my own limiting beliefs, my own stories. We don't know how much time we have, and we know that life is an incredible gift. If you've experienced losses, you know about that. And if you haven't, they're almost inevitable, right? So what is it that you're committed to doing today? What is that one simple thing that you're willing to do today that may be the thing that makes all the difference? For each one of you, you may know this already and you may have just forgotten about it. You're a gift that the world's waiting for out there. And the world may be something as simple as your home, right? And by the way, that's a big world, right? My home is a big world. Because I know that when my impact on my wife, my impact on my son is far-reaching because of the impact they have out there. Know that you are that gift for your home, for the circles that you run with, for the other parents that you interact with, for the people that you are simply out there for. And what they're hoping, what they're looking for is you to be the best you, because some of them are having a tough time making it happen. Some of them are having a tough time seeing the gift in themselves and seeing in themselves what it is they need to see. Marion Williamson wrote for Nelson Mandela his speech. You know, how dare you not be your big self? How dare you not show up and be your grand self? Because just by you shining a light on you, you give permission for others to shine a light on them. And for yourself, this is your opportunity for you to get for yourself and to recharge, for you to be able to get the best you, if you will, available to you and to the people that look to you. So please, 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 for yourself, commit to doing one thing today, one simple action where you bother to execute something for yourself that's going to change something for yourself. Thank you.